Hey guys, welcome to this week's review of Put a Ring on It. So, I'm gonna go couple by couple, and I'm gonna start off with. Let's start off with Sean and Laronda. I am so proud of Sean this week. It feels like he's finally kind of taking strides in a positive direction, right? Because last week, Dr. Nicole read him and was like, basically, you're afraid that you can't be around another woman without, I don't know, crossing the certain boundaries or cheating on Laronda, and you're prematurely stopping yourself from really participating in this process, right? So if you do enjoy somebody and you like somebody, go on a second date. Stop trying to cut things off early. So he challenged himself and he had a second date with, I forgot her name, but she's absolutely stunning. When she was walking into the date, she has beautiful long legs. That dress was beautiful. I loved her nose ring and her earrings. She was just absolutely stunning, right? I really liked her energy. And Sean had a good time, but he basically came to the conclusion that, hey, he likes Laronda. He loves Laronda. That's who he wants to be with. He doesn't want to be with anybody else. So he's good. And listen, if that's how he feels, that's how he feels. But if that's how you feel, then you should have absolutely no problem being around another woman, having a good conversation, and having a good time, and let that just be that. It doesn't necessarily mean that you guys gotta have sex or it has to be something more, right? And I guess Dr. Nicole was like, if you're able to have that experience, when Laronda goes on her date, you're not going to be as worried because you know it is possible for someone to kind of just be around somebody else and have it not be this huge deal, especially when there are cameras there. Like, if Laronda ends up doing anything, you're going to be able to see it, right? It's going to be on camera. So just relax. That's what Sean needs to do. He needs to relax. Now, I mean, he said last week and this week that basically he's a serial cheater, that he has cheated on every relationship he's had besides Laronda, and that he's a womanizer and he's trying to do better and be better. Listen, people can change, people can grow. I mean, if I was Laronda, would I be like, okay, I don't know, would I be uncomfortable? Yeah, I would be uncomfortable, but if he says he's changed and he's working on it and you guys are enjoying each other's company, then none of my business. And it does seem that Sean is open to hear what Dr. Nicole has to say. Yet again, this episode, I don't know, maybe next episode we'll see of Laronda, but I've just been saying, Laronda is a bit of a mystery to me because there's been such focus on Sean that I don't know. I feel like there's a missing blank when it comes to Laronda, because after the group session, Laronda's kind of talking to Sean, and I don't know if she's jealous necessarily, but I feel like she's showing a little bit of something that I would have loved Dr. Nicole, to kind of weigh in on, right? Because when she's around other people, she does come off very poised, she comes off as very secure. But lately, in the last couple of episodes, I've been seeing another side of Laronda, and I wish that we got more scenes exploring that side of her, because she did seem a little bit jealous, right? But I can understand her feeling away if every time Sean is like, this woman, every single day he's been on, he always says, wow, she's absolutely perfect, right? I could definitely see this going somewhere. That's why I'm gonna, you know, cut off this conversation. I'm not gonna go on another date with them. As like, I will be honest, like, I would feel kind of like every woman you met is totally amazing and awesome, and you can't control yourself, so you need to step away from them. That does sound a little suspect, especially if you have a history of serially cheating on your partner. So I guess she would feel some type of way, but I'm also kind of confused with her feeling some type of way as well. I'm going to be completely honest, right? We don't really know about her. We don't really know her story. I just think that's editing. Who knows? They're cutting scenes. I really don't know at this point. Next. So, next couple is Jessica and Eric. Jessica didn't go on a date this week, just Eric, right? But Jessica met with Dr. Nicole, and Dr. Nicole touches on what they discussed last week in the group session about Eric basically asking a bunch of questions and him thinking that's a conversation, right? And Dr. Nicole asks Jessica, did you ever tell him that you feel uncomfortable with him asking a bunch of questions? And she says no, which, to be honest, I'm kind of taken aback by that, because if you look at Jessica, she does seem like very upfront, like she has no problem communicating how she feels on the surface. So for her to be like, yo, can you stop asking me all these questions? You're kind of making me feel uncomfortable. I don't know how to respond. For her not to have that conversation, I can really start to see where these two have communication issues, right? And part of the reason why she says she doesn't bring up how she feels is because growing up, she was bullied, she got into a lot of fights, so she sort of put up this wall and kind of wants to appear tough, right? So to speak on how something is bothering you, I think she perceives it as a weakness, right? Or as like she's being super sensitive, and I can understand that, right? Not that getting into fights, because I've never got into a physical fight before, but I can definitely understand putting up that wall and not really trusting your own feelings and going off of what you think other people think you should be like, and not wanting to show weakness, not wanting to appear sensitive, not wanting to open up because you don't feel like it's safe and you don't want somebody to use it against you. Because using her logic, I can understand she may feel like, well, if I say that he's making me uncomfortable with these questions, he may think that I'm trying to hide something, right? Or he may think that I'm being irrational or super sensitive or yada yada yada. And it's not about right or wrong, it's just about, if you feel a certain way, you need to honor that and work through it. And you may realize that, okay, I'm being triggered based off of something in the past, right? And I'm projecting it now. That's why I feel a certain way. Or you may realize that, you know what, how this person is talking to me or treating me is not healthy. It isn't right for me. But if you don't honor that feeling, if you just try to make an automatic response and decide whether or not something is appropriate or inappropriate to feel, you're doing yourself a disservice, because that feeling doesn't go away. It's still there, and it's just gonna come out. If you're not gonna let it out in a constructive way, it's just gonna come out in a destructive way, and it's gonna destroy the relationship slowly, which it has been doing. you know they have a lot of trust issues and communication issues, because I don't feel like they are being really honest with how they're feeling. Because when Dr. Nicole met up with the men, Eric brought up, what if your partner says, toughen up, act like a man, get it together? What if your partner says stuff like that? And it's just funny to me, because Dr. Nicole even said to not Erica, Jessica, that you're kind of calling out Eric on certain things, but you exhibit the same behavior. Matter of fact, the first time I met with you guys, you dismissed what Eric was feeling, because Eric was speaking on what he wants in a relationship, and Jessica was like, no, you don't, you just want sex, and da 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 da, right? And then, like I said, Eric brings up the whole act like a man, suck it up, and da 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 da. So both of them seem like they don't really give each other space to have feelings. They have a certain expectation of each other on how they want each other to act, and they don't give each other space or themselves space to honor how they feel. And Dr. Nicole gave great advice to Jessica. Basically, don't rely on other people to give you that permission, right, to open up. It shouldn't be tit for tat. It shouldn't be, well, if I'm nice to you, if you're nice to me, then I'm going to be nice to you. If you do this, then I'm going to do this. No. Do it for yourself, right? Be that person for yourself. Don't wait on somebody else to give it to you, because if you're relying on other people, you're gonna find yourself in a really messed up situation. You have to have self-love. You have to build that relationship, that safe relationship with yourself, where you're allowed to feel what you feel at the end of the day, right? Whether you think it's right, wrong, inappropriate, appropriate. Like, for example, if you feel jealous, you can't just be like, oh, I can't feel jealous, that's not how I should feel. Or if you feel ashamed, you can't just tell yourself, no, don't feel ashamed, right? You have to feel what you feel and work through that emotion. You can't just say, oh, I love myself. No, just like someone can't just say they love you. It's their behavior, it's how they treat you that matters. The same thing comes to yourself. Like, you can't just say, oh, I love myself. I mean, you can say that, but if you treat yourself like crap, then what does it mean you saying you love yourself? Loving yourself isn't something that is passive. It's something that is dynamic. It's a relationship that you need to build. So I'm still rooting for Jessica and Eric. I feel like if they're similar to each other, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing. Now, when Eric's date came to the house, I was really disappointed in Jessica, because I felt like Jessica was taking strides forward. She was improving, but the way she acted was just really, really immature to me. Right? She did entirely too much, and I guess she was definitely intimidated because she knew that physically that's Eric's type, right? And her kind of, I don't know, because her acting the way she did, what did that achieve? What did that get you? Like, having them drink out of a shot glass of her and kind of saying, oh, I booked the appointments, I run this house, he's my man, and da 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 da. Like, that doesn't mean anything, right? Because if Eric is gonna step out on you and do something, he's still gonna do it, right? If she wants to take your man, she's still gonna at least attempt to take your man. If anything, low key, you're encouraging her, because you're turning it into a competition. You're almost daring her to take your man, which is absolutely ridiculous, because at the end of the day, they're still gonna walk out that door and they're still gonna go on their date, because this is the show. Hello, this is the premise. Why did you sign up? If you were so uncomfortable with this, why did you sign up? So, I don't know, a little bit of pettiness is cute, but it was just entirely too much. And you basically let her know that you were intimidated by her. That's what you let her know, right? And at the end of the day, she's gonna look good, because she wasn't catty back, she wasn't petty, she took it all in stride and good humor. So if anything, you just made her look good and yourself look dumb. So that was just a bad move, Jessica. That was absolutely ridiculous. Eric and his date, I don't know. Eric says he kind of wants this sort of deeper relationship and all that jazz, but judging from the conversation he's had with his date, I know we're only getting like 2.5 seconds, so it's really hard to make a judgment, but I don't feel like they are really having that deep of conversation. I think it's mostly physical. I think he's physically attracted to her, and that's it. I'm not really seeing any sort of deeper connection, right? He I don't know, like, he says one things, but his actions are entirely different. So I don't really think he's as deep as he tries to appear, right? I feel like he's on Jessica's wavelength, so I don't know. I think they can figure it out, hopefully, but they need to be more emotionally mature, right? They need to deal with their emotions, and they need to be more kind and respectful to each other and themselves. So, I don't know. Good luck to them. Last and definitely least, Alexia and Darien. So, it was in production playing tricks on us. Darien and Kai slept together. Am I surprised? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Am I shocked that Kai confessed this on camera? A little bit, but not entirely, because her energy, you could tell she was trying to take Alexi's man. You could, from the very beginning, right? I'm not gonna put it on, it's definitely not all on her, but she definitely came into this situation with an agenda, which, I don't know, I'm side-eyeing her, I really am, because I remember last season, right, with Michael and Shay, I believe, and Michael was seeing Whitney, I think that's her name, right? And what I liked about Whitney, when Michael was like, you know what, I don't think we can go any further with this, da 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 da, was she a little disappointed? Yes, right? She did like him, but she respected that because she understood. Even though I felt like it was, like I said, if I go on this show, right, I'm not having any expectations. I'm not thinking I'm gonna find my man on this show when he has a girlfriend. I'm not thinking that, right? But at least with Whitney, I feel like she respected that, right? And she took it well. But with Kai, from the very beginning, she was doing too much. But at the end of the day, as well, I can also understand where she's coming from, why she has such a big head. If he's telling her certain things, right? If he's making her believe that she's the one, if they're sleeping together, I can also understand why she has the impression that he's totally into her and she's the one. Now, spoiler alert, allegedly they're together now, which honestly I'm kind of shocked that they're still an item, but not really shocked because Darien has a habit of staying with people for an excessively long time and serially cheating on them during that relationship. So I don't know if he really knows how to be on his own, so it's not surprising that he would just jump into another situation. Um, wow. Just wow. Because with Darien, with his interactions with Dr. Nicole, I was starting to feel like he was somewhat understanding things and he was getting it, as flawed as he was, right? I was still kind of happy for him that he was seeing things differently, but by the end of the episode, it's just like, well, no, he's just playing games at this point. He's not serious. He doesn't even want to marry Alexia. Like, why even come on this show? It's just, I don't even really know what to say because he's not serious. He doesn't want to marry Alexia. That's it. And if someone doesn't want to marry you, you can't make them. You can make them, but guess what? You get married and then what? Every time you have an argument, every time you have a disagreement, what is he gonna say? Well, I didn't want to marry you anyway. See, this is why I didn't want to get married. Da, 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 da. Like, he's gonna throw that in her face every 5 seconds. And that's not gonna feel good for Alexia. So on the surface, you get what you want, but is that what you really want? And Darien, he speaks about growing up with his grandparents. He was raised by his grandparents. Yes, they were married, but the relationship was very volatile. It was physically abusive, emotionally abusive. So that's why he doesn't believe in marriage. and he doesn't want to repeat that same thing. The irony of it is he ended up repeating that very same thing. Now he may not be married, but he's been in a relationship with someone for 14 years. And in my opinion, the relationship has not been healthy, right? It has been toxic. And he has hurt Alexia, maybe Alexia has hurt him. So you just end up repeating the same thing, right? What maybe your grandparents did that they maybe shouldn't have, or what they should have done is, if the relationship isn't right, they should have went their separate ways, right? That's what you're repeating. You're repeating the whole thing of staying with someone for a long time and mistreating them. So you are repeating what your grandparents did. You may not have the title, but I mean, you've been together for 14 years. Not most people, but a lot of people are not even married for that long, right? So you may not have the title, but low key you are kind of married. And look how you treated your partner. So you've repeated it. You repeated it at the end of the day. So the best thing to do would have just been to go your separate ways, or have been honest and like, look, I don't want to be married. And that's fine. If you don't want to be married, you don't have to be married, right? And if you want to kind of have an open relationship and have things on the side or whatever, he should have just been honest. He should have said, this is what I want. And yes, a lot of people may not want that thing, right? But especially in today's society, I'm pretty sure you could find someone that would be okay with that, right? And Alexia, I mean, instead of trying to make him into what you want, she should have just accepted that, because I definitely think she knows, right? She knows he doesn't want to be married. So if you want to be married and have kids, why are you with him? The life that you want, he doesn't want. Just accept that and move on. That's it. Yet again, I would like, honesty is very important. They should just be honest with each other of what they want, and if it's not aligned, it's not aligned. You're not gonna force something to happen if it's just not there. And him, when Dr. Nicole was talking to the man, and he was like, well, Alexia said that if by the end of the process I don't propose to her, she's gonna break up with me, and I don't like that, right? She should give it time. And I just, oh my gosh, she should give it time? Hello, dude, she gave it 14 years, right? Now, if they were dating for 2 years, fine, I can understand where he's coming from, right? You guys just went through the process. You may need some time to speak things over and figure it out. Not forever, but you may need some time, right? I could totally understand that if it's been 2 years, if it's been 1 year. But it's been 14 years. She's given you so much time to figure it out. And the Dr. Nicole definitely read him, where she's been on this roller coaster for how long? Like, if she decides for herself that she no longer wants to do this thing after 14 years, she has the right to do that. It's just very clear, because I don't want to necessarily say he's stuck. I just think he's exactly where he wants to be. This is the situation that he wants. He doesn't want it to change at the end of the day. He really doesn't. And he wants her to be okay with that. But she's not. And she has the right to be like, I'm not okay. And as annoying as Kai is, at the end of the day, I think Alexia should be grateful for Kai. And I'm actually, you know what? I'm actually happy that Kai said that they slept together on camera, because now there's no excuse, right? Now it's out in the open, right? She had her feelings that he was cheating on her. She was never able to prove it. There was nothing concrete. Voila. Here it is. Here's the concrete proof that he cheated. Now what are you going to do with that information? And even when he was meeting with Kai, yet again, it shows that he's a liar, because he was telling her, oh, well, I just needed time, but I care about you. That's why I decided to meet up with you. If I didn't care about you, I would have just texted you. I wouldn't have the conversation. He made it seem like it was his idea to meet up with Kai, when it was actually Dr. Nicole slash production that told him he had to meet with Kai, right? It wasn't actually him that put this together, but then with Kai, he's telling her something else. Like, and I don't know, like, just when I was starting to feel like Darien was starting to get it, right, with when the men met with Dr. Nicole, I felt like every time he meets with Dr. Nicole, I do feel like he gets some sort of understanding, but then he meets with Kai and lies to her face, right? He even said in his confessional, "Oh man, I look like a narcissist." Low key, maybe you are a narcissist, right? And low key, maybe you're not so ignorant as to what you're doing. I think you know exactly what you're doing at this point. And the fact that from the previews we see him, it seems like he's begging for Alexia's forgiveness and for Alexia to take him back, and that just makes him more messed up, right? Definitely he owes Alexia an apology, right? But if you really loved Alexia, if you really cared about her, you would just be like, "I'm sorry, please forgive me." And then he would be like, "I don't think we should be together. I don't think we're compatible. I don't think we want the same things." Right? If he was a stand-up guy, that's what he would do. That's what he would do, because he doesn't really, I think he has love for Alexia, but that's not who he wants to be with. Or maybe that's who he wants to be with, but the way in which he wants to be with her is not aligned with the way Alexia wants to be with him, and it's best to just accept that and move on. So that's everything, guys. See ya.